Again, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today about this conversation. I'm thrilled that I have three exceptional women that chose to come and do this with me as far as being panel.
1 second, because I'm on a Zoom, so I'm trying to.
Could you ask everyone to please mute?
Yes, I apologize. I thought I was.
No problem. So in this webinar, the purpose of it is to just start fostering an ongoing conversation regarding women's health. And we're starting off regarding talking about menopause. I do want to go ahead and introduce myself for those who have joined that don't know who I am. I'm Shamika Jones. I'm the founder of Absolute Beauty and Wellness. And Absolute Beauty and Wellness was birthed out of my own pain. As I was sharing earlier with one of the panelists, I was diagnosed with PCOS back in my early 20s. But while I was in the military, I kept complaining of multiple symptoms that I was dealing with, and they could not give me no solution, nor could they diagnose what was wrong with me. And it wasn't until I got out of the military back in 2000 and found a private doctor. That private doctor diagnosed me with PCOS, and it's polycystic ovarian syndrome. What you may not know is that a syndrome means that it's classified as a condition, but it has multiple symptoms. So my symptoms may not be the same as another woman who suffers from PCOS. So along that journey in the beginning, I had no one that I could talk to or who could even relate to the issues that I was dealing with. I was dealing with the hot flashes. I was dealing with all perimenopausal conditions. So I've been perimenopausal since I was 23 years old. I'll be 49 this year. That's how long I've been dealing with this. And so on this journey, me dealing with all these symptoms, the irritability, the depression, the anxiety, the insomnia, all those symptoms I've been dealing with since I was in my early 20s. And so I began to look into naturopathic care because I got tired of the medications they were putting me on, those D-list medicines that could damage your liver and your kidneys. And as further doing research, I ended up finding a herbalist that was also an acupuncturist. And I saw him, he treated me for about 4 to 5 years and helped relieve me of my night sweats, helped with the ease of some of the depression, and also helped with some of the other concerns that I had. However, I also began to do yoni steams, and that helped as well. And so, and back in 2012, that's when I initially started Absolute Beauty and Wellness. But I really didn't know that I had an audience that was willing to listen or could relate to what I was dealing with. So I ended up dissolving the business, and I ended up starting it back up about 5 years later. And here we are now. So now that I've given an introduction to myself, and I'm sorry, yes, Ebony? To cook for you. Can I ask everyone to put their phone on mute? Thanks. Now that I've given an introduction of myself, again, we're just going to go ahead and explore it and have this discussion about menopause, postmenopausal symptoms, as well as perimenopausal symptoms. And what I would like to do is introduce my panels that will be helping us along with this discussion. Our first, well, no, I'm not going to introduce them. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. So I would like to ask Dr. Danceline, if you'd like to give a brief introduction of who you are and what you do.
Peaceful greetings, everyone, my sisters, myself. What do? I work with herbs, medicine, healing, touch in the indigenous way, per my blood, which is West African, Ashanti, Maasai, and uh, Anishinaabe, which is First Nations from the Minnesota, Wisconsin, five-state area up that away on the border of Canada. So that's where I'm from. Those are the traditions that inform my practice. Within that, I'm doing work here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm pleased to be here.
Thank you. If I can ask everyone to mute their phones. All right, we'll go ahead and ask Miss Leslie, would you please introduce yourself? And
Greetings, everyone. I'm very excited to be on this panel this evening. I'm Leslie Goodman, and I am a wonderful, proud wife of my husband of 8 years now, but also CEO and co-founder of Black Silk Yoga LLC. We own a wellness company where we do corporate yoga, community yoga, and couples yoga. uh, in the city of Atlanta for about 5 years now. I'm a certified Kemetic yoga instructor. I teach a form of yoga that is African based, and the practice centers around connecting, I like to say, body, mind, and ancestral spirit through sacred geometric movement and progressive breathing. So, yeah, that's what I do. I've been successfully survived COVID, and we've been serving, especially our community, the Black community, for about 5 years now. So I'm also a school teacher. I teach mindfulness and yoga for students that have ADHD and learning disabilities. And I've been doing that for the past 2 years. And I'm happy to join this wonderful panel, and currently having a hot flash right now at the moment. So I really am excited to get right to it.
Thank you, Leslie, because I think I feel one coming on now. I might have to turn on my fan. And then our last panelist, I'd like to would like for Angela to introduce herself and what she does.
Hello, ladies, all you goddesses on this call. It's so amazing to be here. I love the energy already. My name is Angela, and I am the owner and founder of Educated Lotus. I help women to journey into themselves and to really reconnect with themselves. I do energy work. I'm actually a Reiki practitioner, Reiki master of in a certain specific type of Reiki called Violet Light. And then I am also a nurse of over 20, I think it's for years this year. Sometime, and I understand the premise of traditional medicine, but I find that natural medicine is a lot more gentler on the system, and we work better with those things. So my business is based on yoni steaming, spiritual baths, and really connecting the woman to her energy and clearing out and healing trauma in that way.
Thank you, Angela. When you were giving your introduction, there was a little bit of distortion. So what I will do, ladies, after the call, those are registered. I'll be sure to inform you on how you can reach each one of our panelists to get more information about the products and services they offer. And just so you can know a little more about them, I'll also include my bio, because I failed to mention that I'm also a Reiki practitioner. And like I say, that also came a part of me in my healing journey, because I was looking for relief. Like I said, and being perimenopausal since I was 23 years old, I've found different ways naturally to help find relief. So with that, we're going to segue into some facts, right? Who all knows when do you know we're really in menopause? What determines that you're actively in menopause and out of perimenopause? Does anyone know? You can raise your hand if you know. Not my panelists. Okay, no one knows.
I'm gonna assume it's when you start having flashes, but I don't know.
Okay, that's a good question. I mean, good answer. Does anyone that has an answer? How do you raise your hand? You can, Samira, if you don't, you can just come off mute and share how do you know you're in menopause?
Well, I don't believe that I'm in it fully, but I mean, my guess would be when we have lost our menses for a certain amount of time. I'm assuming a particular duration, but at the same time, I also would say that our bodies are different. So how will we say, okay, yes, this is it officially?
Okay, that's a good answer. And then I have one hand raised here, Sharice.
Well, I thought, like she just said, when your period stops, but, I've experienced that for like 4 months once. I mean, I thought I was pregnant. But then it came back. And so, I mean, that's what I thought. And then again, the next question after that is, if that is the determination, how long does it have to be? So that's my thought on that.
You all gave great answers. What I'm going to do is give you all some perimenopause and menopause facts. Number one, perimenopause in the years is leading up to menopause. Your ovaries make less estrogen, you release fewer eggs, and your periods become less regular. Menopause is when you've reached a period of time where you've not had a period for 1 year. From that point, you are in menopause. So Western medicine says after 12 consecutive months of not having a cycle, you are in menopause. And then from there, you go into postmenopause. And that is where you make very little estrogen. And as a result, the uterine lining doesn't think it, and your periods have ended. Other parts of menopause, or another phase of menopause, is surgical menopause. And this occurs when your uterus has been removed, and the symptoms come due to the removal of the ovaries, and this causes a quick drop in your estrogen and progesterone, and this drop causes sudden and severe symptoms. I have someone, a good friend right now, who is actually dealing with that, and she's having a compound of all these symptoms at one time: joint pains, heart palpitations, night sweats, all of that. So those are the 4 phases of menopause. And for those who gave you answers regarding the menses, you were on the right track. So thank you. Does anyone have any questions before we go on to the to the questions that were submitted via the job form? All right. If no one has questions, what I'll do is we kind of separate the questions into like 4 categories. We had general questions, then we had questions regarding emotional symptoms, questions regarding physical symptoms, which include sexual and non-sexual, and then we had some regarding feminine holistic health. So panelists, I'll just call on you the answer, or if you want to answer or don't want me to, if you want to be called on first, just raise your hand. But other than that, I'll just randomly call on the panelists to answer questions. We okay with that? All right, cool beans.
Sounds good.
All right. So like Sharice was saying, like, how do you know it's for certain? And you know, when are we aware, when are you fully aware that you're moving into menopause? And I would like to pose that question to Angela. When do we know we're moving through it? And Angela, it looks like she's froze on us. All right, so I'll go to Leslie. The question is, when should we be aware as we are moving through menopause?
Well, I'm gonna speak on my personal journey. The the way that I knew that I was moving into menopause was my body started communicating more with me. I was always one of those people who really wasn't in tune to like every single sign or symptom of their body, because sometimes we don't always feel it. But menopause is like a spiritual communication journey. Like your body is talking to you, and everything that you knew about yourself before seems to be different now. You know, now you feel everything. I feel the heat, I feel headaches, I feel irritability, I feel digestive issues. So it's almost like for me, it's when your body's communicating with you, and you really have to, you know, when we're younger, we can not pay attention to the signs, and maybe not in your case, Shamika, because you said at 23 is when your journey started. My journey started in my early 40s, and the communication is very, very important. If you're used to certain things and these things aren't happening, menses, different times, you know, these cycles of life are supposed to be constant, but there's no there's no like linear journey when it comes to menopause. It's all up and down. So I feel like when you're used to your body being a certain way, and then all of a sudden you have all these different communications, that's kind of when you know. Of course, you know, you can add into the fact of what we know from the textbooks, you know, your cessation of your menses, you know, maybe now irregular periods, you know, rashes breaking out on your face, irritability, mood swings, all of these things play a role, but it's constant. It is constant. And it's like now you have to do something about it. It's no longer something you can kind of push to the side. So that's kind of me when I knew, because I've always just been a person who wasn't in tune, is why I got into yoga, so I could be more in tune with my body and myself. And that's because I didn't have anything to look up to. I mean, I have a mom, but you know, generational trauma says we don't talk about things. So I never really had someone to come and tell me what these signs were. So for me, it was just more of a spiritual communication.
That was a great answer, Leslie. And I think this forming this community so that we have these conversations, we can further develop our knowledge of menopause so that we can share with the younger generations. As I was saying earlier, at 23, I didn't know what I was going through, and the doctors didn't know what I was going. They just, ain't nothing wrong with you. Go work out, go do some PT. It was the army way. But I want to be able to talk to our younger women just because of all the environmental factors that are going on in the world and in the air, in the food. They're changing our body. It's changing our DNA. And some women are encountering these hormonal issues very early. So we need to be equipped with the knowledge to be able to help our young sisters as well as help our peers and prepare for the latter stages of menopause. Does anyone of the other panelists want to add to that? All right. That was one of our general questions. I'm sorry, who was that?
This is Dr. Dancy Ryan, and I just wanted to piggyback on what the sister was sharing, and that it got her attention. And in the indigenous way, we're taught that she who bleeds but does not die is miraculous and amazing. So, as a woman walking around and you can bleed for 7 days and not be dead, you are a miracle. Very rarely, though, are we encouraged to treat ourselves as walking, talking, living, breathing miracles. So, therefore, we're used to putting our needs, our body's needs, and the way that we feel on the back burner. What happens with menopause is that everything that you paid into a bank that you didn't get back is now due.
Mm,
And so it is when, yes, you become not she who bleeds and doesn't die, but she who holds her wise blood inside. And what that means to us is that you're supposed to hold your energy, your ashe, your life force in for yourself. You are no longer nobody's mammy, mommy, homie, stromy, homie, lover, friend, all that. Yes, you are, but most and primarily you are to tend to yourself. And if you didn't before, you must now. And so menopause is when your bill comes due
mm. Thank you.
energetically.
Thank you for that. I like that. All right. We're going to move on more so into the emotional symptoms, right? How do you manage those mood swings and depressions? I know Western medicine wants us to take antidepressants. They gave those to me. The estrogen, I took that cream, and talk therapy. And I would say what we're doing now is more so like talk therapy because we need to talk about it. We as women, we hold so much in, dealing with, shame of, you know, people may not understand or they're gonna think I'm crazy or they're gonna say something's wrong with me, but something is wrong and we need to address it, right? So talking about these emotional symptoms, Angela, would you like to, share more on how to manage the mood swings and depressions from your holistic approach?
For me, I'm trying to make sure I stay stable on the network. I don't know what's going on, so I apologize. For me, emotionally, I think what is not being mass produced, or the therapy that's not given is you to be okay with yourself as you go through these changes. Feel like they're isolated, and it's like I feel like, let me say this about the time we become pubescent or prepubescent, we're taught to suffer in silence like nobody else goes through these things. All these things that we're discussing today, but not all. The journey begins much earlier than that, in that silence, that programming for silence starts so early. So I really hope that not only this will help us, but also help the generations for women in this meeting understand that we should move in silence as well. But emotionally, I think that we as women should be okay with what we're feeling and be able to not only express, but deal with that and say, okay, this is how I'm feeling and it's okay. That term, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay. The menopause journey, just like pregnancy, there is no cookie cutter way to say this is it and this is how you should deal with the symptoms. And for that, each journey is individual.
I'm sorry, Angela.
It's an individual.
I'm sorry, Angela. It's coming in distorted. I want to kind of recap on what you just said. One of the things I heard is that we've been programmed since we were little not to share what we're going through, and that this is now the time for us to deprogram. And if you can kind of nod if I'm on track with what you were saying, can you hear me? Are you in agreement with what I was saying? Okay, awesome. And then also your point was also that we must feel what we're going through. We got to feel and process it, and it's okay not to be okay. Let's acknowledge what we're dealing with, and I think that was the point you was coming across as well. But
sorry.
Okay, if you get the reverb out, it may sound better. Oh, she hung up. Okay, she's having technical difficulties. That's no problem. I'll go back to Dancing Lion or Leslie. Would any of you like to give further insight on the emotional, as far as how do we deal with the mood swings and depression?
I will speak for myself and what I did. I thought it was important to, as the sister was saying, to her point, be okay with how I was feeling. And a way to do that was to check in with myself through journaling. I also started doing something called tapping. And I don't know if your audience is familiar with tapping, but if you look it up on YouTube, there's a great deal of research now done about how doing a pattern interrupt in your nervous system when you're upset is something that you can do for yourself and literally hit the reset button on your central nervous system. So it's called tapping. A good guy is Brad Yates on YouTube. There's many people doing it. He's pretty reputable. And he has like a video up there for any emotion you're feeling. I'm tapping for when you're angry, tapping for when you're enraged, tapping for when your family is on your nerves, tapping for when you feel hopeless, tapping for when you're sick. So you say affirmations while you're tapping on active reflexology and acupuncture points on your own body while you say affirmations, accepting and loving yourself, even though you're feeling what you're feeling. And studies have shown that this actually resets your nervous system and calms you down and turns your immune system back on. All of those things are extremely important to a woman who's menopausal, hot flashing, upset, and afraid because she thinks she's sick.
Awesome. That's great information. And maybe Dr. Dancing Lion, that may be something we can further discuss in our next session. We're sharing different ways and different modes of finding relief and easing those symptoms. Great introductory to tapping. That covers the emotional symptoms and how we would address them. We've got 30 more minutes because I want to make sure I open up for additional questions, but we got a couple more questions to cover that were submitted prior to the webinar. So we're going to talk about some of the physical symptoms. Someone asked how to keep your weight down. Would any one of the panelists like to tackle that one? How do we keep the weight down? Because I'm struggling.
Pick me. So I will say that, just that buildup of cortisol was one of the things that really got me. I do yoga, I work out. I was always pretty fit. And when perimenopause hit, that was one of the things that I wasn't used to. And it wasn't what I was eating. It was all just these hormonal changes and this increase in cortisol. But I will say that doing yoga, strengthening my pelvic floor, and also just the stress relief actually helped me to maintain my weight. Because what happens is your hormones these hormonal shifts change everything. It even changes your body's ability to lose weight. And even if you're not trying to lose weight, you end up holding on to it because your body's in such a period of distress. So it's almost like when a person who doesn't eat at all, and they're like, why am I gaining weight? It's because you're stressed. Your cells is cellular trauma. They react to every shift in our bodies. And so one of the things that helped me, and my thing is, I never look at it like, I'm gaining weight or losing weight. It's just how I feel in my body. But I will say that yoga really helped me to maintain my pelvic muscles. It helped me to lower my stress. And then the food, I was eating a little bit more mindful, because when I'm stressed out, I do eat. I'm a stress eater.
Me too.
So, menopause equals stress for me, because I was like, what is going on? Every part of my body is different. My hair is different. My skin is different. I look different. I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I don't even recognize this person. But when I started doing yoga, and really, that's when I really started tapping in, Shamika, especially comedic yoga, because it's African centered. So it kind of tapped into a deeper ancestral core for me. And it hits different for me when I do comedic yoga, because what you're doing now is you're really digging into like deep trauma, deep things within my family, deep things. And when you start having that clarity about you, it really was easier for me to maintain weight. And a lot of people don't understand that relationship between your body having stress and then holding on to weight. And I don't know, in my life, I would say menopause has been one of the most stressful events, because once again, I didn't have a blueprint. I didn't have anything to kind of go to except for women, which is why I'm happy to be on this panel, because it's really good to be in a room of your reflections who are going through the same thing, or who can offer just different solutions or advice, or just like-minded energy. So I appreciate you and Angela and Doctor. I was reading about all of y'all, and I was so excited. I was like, oh, I can finally get some information. So, yeah, that's pretty
Thank,
much it for me.
thank you,
Right? No
Leslie.
silence, Amir. No silence. Let's speak the truth.
All right. Angela, yes, you want to piggyback off that?
Yes, I do. I think I finally got it together over here. I think one of the biggest things for stress management for me, I was probably the women in my family go to menopause. I think our perimenopause is pretty early, and I didn't know that. And so what ends up happening is we start having a lot of problems early, and so a lot of us have had hysterectomies early in my family, and I think it's just because of the complications. One of the biggest things that I have noticed with myself prior to me ultimately getting hysterectomy myself was not being able to identify that correlation. And so hopefully generationally, that approach will be different going into the future. But for me, stress management was being able to yoni steam. And that really allows your pelvic floor to completely relax. I don't think that women really understand how monumentally, pervasive it is for us to hold a lot of stress in our womb and in our pelvic region. And I don't really care, what it is. And since we're all grown here, I'll say this, but most of the time, a woman does not fully release her pelvic floor and really relax that area unless she has an orgasm. And let's think about that. So you have an orgasm, you have that climax, you build up, you have an orgasm, and your pelvic floor completely relaxes, ladies. So you really think about that pelvic floor completely relaxing, okay? So that only happens for a matter of minutes for us whenever that happens. When is the any other time that we actually completely relax our pelvic floor? For me, that was only something that either happened with an orgasm or was something that happened when I yoni steamed. So for the first time that I was able to completely relax in that hot steam was the first time I was able to completely relieve stress in a way that I had never done before. And so for me, it was a way to release. It was very cathartic. It was so therapeutic for me. So yoni steaming was really one of the best ways for me personally to relieve stress in a way that I had never felt before. So I became an avid yoni steamer, then built my business on top of it because I know that also through that is healing. And just like Dr. Danson Lyons said, we actually care for everybody all the time. And when we stop bleeding, that's time for us to care. That time is due back to us. I really believe that we need to figure out how to infuse that time to give back to ourselves prior to us realizing, okay, my body's going haywire. but also being able to incorporate that understanding early so we know the symptoms like we're doing now, but also being able to use stress relief, because knowing how to manage your stress early as a mother, as a younger woman, will really help us later on in life when we come up to menopause and perimenopause, because we'll know how to manage that better going into those phases of our life.
Thank you, Angela. And now you know why I chose to be a part of this panel discussion, because yoga has been helping me with my strengthening my pelvic floor, the yawning steaming. All these things that the panelists are talking about are things that I have incorporated on my journey to help me and to give me ease. And I'm still, researching and learning. And because as I get older, the symptoms change a bit. Something else is, aching, creeping up on me. So yeah, I also want to encourage you ladies, please continue to research. If you have questions, we got some, you got a community here that we can come to and ask these questions of and have these discussions. So let's go back into the physical symptoms. One of the other ones I know is on everybody's topic is the doggone hot sweats, how we control those hot sweats. I got a story for you all. So I used to be a traveling consultant, and I was working in Maryland, Annapolis, Maryland. I never forget, I had this pretty set of satin pajamas. They were buttoned up top and the bottoms. This one night, I remember I got to bed and I tossed and turned and I woke up. My pajama top was on the side of the bed. I thought, hey, I just had another hot night. I took it off. So got ready for work, put my pajamas up, put them in my suitcase, because I always secure my stuff before I go to work. Come back to the hotel, go work out, shower up, moisturize my body. Let me put my pajamas on. So I'm watching Law and Order. I just slide my pajama bottoms on and I get my shirt and I'm sitting there. You know how when you just feeling for the buttons, ain't no buttons. Well, no buttons on my pajama top. You know where they were? On the nightstand. Housekeeper made up my bed and put my buttons on the nightstand for me. And that was the moment I said, I got to get some relief. And I ended up finding the acupuncturist. And he ended up helping with relieving the night sweats. And then he also put me on black cohosh, which helped somebody. That's what helped me when he doing the acupuncture and taking black cohosh. That helped with relieving my night sweats and some of my okay. Okay, it keep going on and off. So yeah, that's my experience with the hot sweats. I'll give it over. I'm sorry, Miss Harris.
That's how I've been today. That's just today though. But I wasn't a cold ass pork shit, so I don't know. And it's raining.
It keeps coming off mute for her.
Yeah, and I just have to peace.
All right. So apologize for that distraction. So I'll give it over to my panelists. Dr. Dancing Lion, what would what have you done to help with easing your symptoms with the hot flashes?
Okay, so a couple of things. I work with herbs. I'm a wild crafter. Wild crafter means I don't go into the store and grab the tincture off the shelf. If you have to go into the store and grab the tincture off the shelf, sister, do that. Do it quickly. But I go out in the yard or out in the wild and I identify the plant. I harvest it, prepare my own medicine. So the first thing I do is I turn to the plants. A couple of plants that I have found very good for me are adaptogenic plants. Number one would be ashwagandha. Number two would be skullcap, Scutellaria lateriflora, that's side flowering skullcap in a tincture form. And number three, strangely enough, would be ginger. And I know a lot of people would say, what? Ginger? Hold up. Ginger is spicy. It's hot. It makes you spicy. Hot. Ginger is an adaptogenic rhizome. It's not a root. It's not a plant. It's a rhizome. And so all that means is that it will go one way or the other depending on what the organism it touches needs. So what it means is if you are overheated, ginger will cool you down. If you are hyperthermic, ginger will heat you up. It does what is necessary. So making yourself ginger and lemon lemonade, minus the sugar, go with stevia or swerve or something like that, a non-sugar alternative. And make yourself a ginger lemonade or have hot ginger tea, depending on which way your body's going with it, whichever you prefer. And that's a really fast way, as well as the two other herbs that I mentioned, the ashwagandha tincture and the skullcap tincture, both of which work on your central nervous system. So it's your central nervous system that's messed up when you're going through menopause. It's up and down, just like my sisters mentioned. It's the up and down ride. So it levels you out. The other thing is to take your shoes off and put your feet on the bare earth. You can look up earthing or grounding, and you'll see lots and lots of scientific research talking about how your eyes will clear up, your nervous system will calm down, your blood pressure will go down, your tachycardia will stop, and your eczema will clear up, and your hair will begin to grow if you spend a good amount of time with your feet on the bare earth. That is the charger for the human body, and it's free to do.
Ooh, thank you, Sister Dancing Lion. And that's one of the things I love to get grounded. I love to get out there and get my feet in the grass, and I like to do it on the beach as well. That was good. So those were some of the non-sexual physical symptoms questions. Let's go into the sexual, because some of us may be having libido problems, may not have interest in sex. I can honestly say, even though I've been perimenopausal, I haven't lost interest in sex. But for those who may have encountered problems, I'll ask Angela, would you like to share what do you suggest while going through perimenopause, menopausal, or even postmenopausal? What do you suggest?
So a couple of little short things, but one is a friend of ours in her mid to late 40s. I know she was perimenopausal, and she actually had lost her significant other violently. Now, if you're thinking about the emotional state of a woman with all of those things going on, it's pretty significant. So quite honestly, she had lost interest in sex. Okay. So she was visiting from Philadelphia, and we actually gave her a chakra yoni steam that I blend. And she actually said that she woke up in a way that she had not felt since she lost her significant other. A lot of times women don't have adequate blood flow to that region, and yoni steaming actually helps to bring blood flow and detoxification to that area. So you're going to detox your womb through yoni steaming, and you're also going to give it stimulation with that hot steam, and it's going to actually bring more vascularity. Not only does it strengthen your pelvic floor, it also allows you to have better control sexually, to be able to pleasure yourself when you're with your partner. He's going to get a lot of benefits, and we love it for him, but we don't really care about him. We care about us first. It's about us first, lady. Guys, it's all about us first. So at the end of the day, it's going to give you that control, better G-spot, better clitoral. All that stimulation is going to be better because you have better blood flow. And also, because yoni steaming its foundation is water, it also allows you to hydrate that area in a way that nothing else is going to really do. So I really like yoni steaming for sexual health when it comes to being pre, and postmenopausal, because at the end of the day, getting blood flow to that area is really going to help to stimulate that area as far as sexual is concerned. There's a gentle wafting of or massage of steam that goes through that tract, and I've had women tell me either they were feeling like they were going to have an orgasm or feel stimulation there that they haven't felt in a long time. So yoni steaming is one of the things that actually helps with me keeping my sexual health intact. But I also feel like, for women, if you are having a moisture issue or you're having a libido issue, getting better blood flow there and more moisture there right to the area really does help improve that whole part of your life.
Thank you, Angela. Leslie, your hand was up. Did you want to add to that?
Oh yeah, well, the first one was a clap for Angela when she said it's all about us, because I'm so about that. I'm all about the divine feminine. But anyway, I do have a comment. Yeah, two things. Um, as far as the increase of like sex drive, if those desires go away, I want to say that once again, yoga really does help, especially when it comes to clearing your chakras. In Kemetic science, we call it the arites. But at your sacral chakra, your root chakra, that blood flow around the pelvic region, when you are able to breathe properly, which is very, very important, you unlock this dormant energy that lies at the base of the spine. Some people call it kundalini, but really what it is just that blood flow around that sacral region. So when you start activating that with the breath, you do start having that energy circulating around the womb. And sometimes with I guess, look, with me, it hasn't really happened yet. And it's probably because I practice yoga. Always unlocking that pelvic region. When you start breathing, that's where the breath starts, at the diaphragm, at the base of the spine. So once you start actively practicing that every day, that desire, it just comes back, even if it's just for you, even if you're not actively having sex with a mate. People always think that sexual desire is around involving another person. Not always. We can have that sexual satisfaction alone, but it's just unlocking that dormant energy. So that's why people do tantric yoga. A lot of times women will go to those classes by themselves, because we have to awaken our own sexual energy to even be in a position to join someone else, right? And so that's very, very important. Another thing that has helped me is the addition of coconut water. I've always drank water, but I think they call it H3O now. So the water that you get from fruits like watermelon and coconut water, there's like extra electrolytes, I want to say, that help you to be more hydrated, because you do have a lot of dryness, and you can drink a ton of water and still feel that way. But I do know that adding herbs, like the Dr. Dancing Lion was saying, the herbs are what's going to help you. Nature is what's going to help you. Everything that we need is right here in nature. It's just about tapping in and having those resources and tools and learning. Like she said, if you know how to, get that from the earth yourself, do it. But if you don't, there's so many resources. There's so many places you can go and get those tinctures even made for you. So I'm totally into herbs. Herbs totally helped me when it came to like even sexual desire. I'm all for anything that's going to help and aid the process. Like, we really have to start tapping into the things that are here for us and not be afraid to speak out. And yoga and juicing helped me too. And juicing helped me a lot. At the top of the year, I had virtually no hot flashes after 10 days of juicing. It was crazy. It made me want to, I should have just continued, but I didn't, because I wanted to eat. I was like, I want some food, I'm tired of juicing. But that might just have to be the path for me if I'm trying to, change this. I don't want to say change, but embrace this cycle of life that's going to happen. But I just want to ease into it a little bit better. So that's my I hate to say 2 cents, because I'm worth so much more than 2 cents.
Yes.
That's my $100.
Thank you, Leslie.
Sister Shamika.
Yes, Dr. Lane. That's Lane.
One last thing, and that is, my teacher told me that as a perimenopausal, which lasts for 10 years before menopause actually hits. So if you're 35, honey, if you you're perimenopausal anyway. And then if you have surgery, yeah, you're artificially catapulted in and it's all at once. But regardless of where you are in this journey, you are to give yourself an orgasm every day, whether you think you want one or not, to keep that in as a therapeutic treatment to keeping the blood flowing and moving, to Sister Angela's point and Sister Leslie's point of keeping that area moving, keeping the blood flowing there, and keeping your hormones balanced. And the positive hormones flowing through your body will uplift your mood and release your pelvic floor. And also to train your pelvic floor. And there's an object called a perifit, PERIFIT. FIT. Look it up. It's from France, and it's your own personal little jungle gym for your lady parts. And it's an app on your phone. And so you play games while you train your yoni. So you could get your yoni steam from one of these good ladies here that do this, attend your yoga class, and then do your yoni training and make it more so about yourself while you have your herbal tea. It's a lifestyle now.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dancing Lion. I remember you told me about that, and me and the ladies were talking about what was the name of that app? What was it she told us that we need to order? So thank you for bringing that back to top of mind. PeriFit.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Couple of other areas. We got about 8 more minutes, but there were a couple of other questions that came in. One was about decreasing the menopausal heart populations. Dr. Dancing Line, I know you spoke on a couple of the herbs, the adaptogenics, but do you have anything else you'd like to add to that?
If you're talking about heart things, then number one is to stay away from the estrogen replacement therapy, which causes heart palpitations and high blood pressure. The very last thing you need as you're entering into a certain age and you're having problems with your hormones. Understanding that your heart will take over making estrogen if you leave it alone. If you start taking estrogen replacement, your body's very efficient. It will not make its own estrogen. So, what you're afraid of happening, you will make happen by taking estrogen replacement therapy. So, stay away from it. Then you can take herbs that have no harmful side effects, such as St. John's wort or motherwort, motherwort, MOTHERWORT. It is a heart medicine, borage, hawthorn berries, hawthorn berry tincture. All of these things can be gotten in a tea, in a tincture form, added to your water. And if you drink a whole bottle of it, you'll fall asleep. But you will not die. Okay. And that unlike the medication that they give you, no harm, no foul if you need medication. Very, very rarely do you need medication. Menopause is not a sickness at all. It's supposed to happen.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's about embracing this phase of our life. All right. That covers our physical symptoms. Now we want to focus more on the feminine holistic health. And I think that has been woven into the conversation since we started, the feminine holistic health. And what I would like to do with that, I would like to just go to each of the panelists and to share how do you apply feminine holistic health to your daily regimen? And I'll start with you, Leslie.
Yeah, so of course I do the yoga, but what I want to say about yoga is it's not just about, getting into these positions. It's so much about your breathing.
Yes.
And yoga is just one component of all the things that we need to be doing. The nutrition is a big part of nutrition and yoga go hand in hand. Breathing and yoga go hand in hand. Stress reduction and yoga go hand in hand. So yoga is just like a piece of it. You can't just do yoga by itself. You have to do yoga and you have to connect. Yoga is a connection of body, mind, and spirit, which is your breath. So for me, holistic means grabbing every component, the nutrition, the breathing, the stress management. And when I say stress, it goes the job that I'm doing, the energy that I am purposely putting myself into when I leave the door. I want to say this, Shamika. I'm gonna take the yoga out of it because that's what I typically answer. One of the things that helps me is saging. I sage when I walk into a room. I sage myself when I leave a room. I sage an elevator when I walk in. When I leave out of an elevator, I sage myself. Like I'm so into it because I'm really. People used to laugh at me because I tap into tools that I know. These are ancestral tools that I know work. Clearing my energy when my hormones aren't balanced and I'm working every day to kind of get them in balance, the last thing I need is to enter into situations where I know that there's chaos. So I do my best to try to cleanse everywhere that I go and cleanse myself, because I tend to have negative energy too, especially when I'm going through this roller coaster. So I really do tap into those tools. Saging is a big thing for me. So that's one of the things that I do holistically, in addition to comedic yoga, progressive movements, making sure my body is aligned. Yoga helps me with my skeletal system, helps me with my breathing. It helps me to push fresh oxygen into my organs and my lymph nodes. It's very, very important for me. It's like brushing my teeth. I don't go a day without it. So that's what I do holistically.
Thank you. Thank you, Leslie, for sharing. And Angela, how about you? What do you apply daily for your feminine holistic health?
Well, and I'm very much like Dr. Dancing Lion. I believe that a woman should have a regular orgasm schedule. I don't care what your relationship status is, and a regular releasing. And if you're not clearly, comfortable with your body enough to have an orgasm with yourself or someone else, then definitely Yanni's thing. But there's got to be some type of release. And let me be clear, I've had women tell me all kinds of things, like they got their hood pierced and they feel more feminine because they got piercings down there, or there's all kinds of things you can do to connect. But for me, it is definitely making sure I have a regular orgasm schedule. It's also making sure that I personally give gratitude to the universe that it has been created in my seat. That is my sacred seat. And I am grateful, because we're not complex by design. We're complex by nature. We're multidimensional. We bring not only bodies, but full souls and beings through ourselves. And that doesn't have anything to do with, for me personally, if you are able to have children or have children, it's understanding the energy that goes behind being a woman and giving reverence to that. So I stay grounded in my femininity by understanding how amazing that I am as a woman. God created me this amazingly, and I get to be in this body at this time, and I give homage to it, because I don't care if you got 1,000 stretch marks. I don't care if your boobs are laying on your legs like mine when you take your bra off. I don't care. That body is a masterpiece. It is skillful. Only through these bodies that we carry every day and walk around in can we bring other life into this world. And so I give reverence to who I am every day, because I know how amazing I am. And that's what you have to do. You got to give credit where it is due, and it is due to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Angela. And Dr. Dancing Lion, would you like to share your regimen, your daily regimen, and applying your feminine holistic health?
I get up and I thank my body. I thank the creator for life, whatever you shall call the creator. Leroy is fine. It doesn't matter. But some kind of gratitude for what made you and what opened your eyes, for the mechanics of it, for the miracle of it. I go outside. I put my bare feet on the earth. I face a tree because they are our elders, and I say thank you. And what would you have me do today? What would you have me say? Who do you want me to say it to? Is there anything I need to let go of? If there's anybody I need to forgive, I give it to the earth so it can grow food as fertilizer. I drink water. I'll have some tea. I'll make a smoothie, some protein to feed my body. I lift weights. I play with kettlebells and such. I do yoga. Um, if there's an herb or a vitamin that I need, I take vitamin D and K and magnesium and such. We tend as menopausal women to be magnesium deficient. Get sun on my body, on my skin for 17 minutes a day. You get sun on your skin, even if it's overcast, you double your T cell count. So you will have twice the army that you had before to fight off any infection or anything that doesn't belong. Those are your warrior soldiers. And so it makes sense to soldier up, because the Greeblies is out here. And that doesn't even include our menopausal symptoms. So it just makes sense to take care of ourselves in that way. So, I mix and match. I try to let go of grievances, and I do not poison myself with the news and social media if it's negative, stories with lots of violence. We're extra sensitive during this period of time as menopausal women. Our heads are wide open. In other words, we're connected to the divine and our own divinity, and we're not to be pouring poison in there and saying, "Oh, it's a little bit." Unless a little bit of poison is okay in your glass. So just look at your poison tolerance. That includes the friends in your phone that call and drink you dry, things like that. If you have to have a deleting party with your phone, do that now. Don't wait till the new year. Fresh air awaits you. So, take what makes sense to you and what resonates for you. Do it your way. You are the creatrix of your own life. And now is a good time to admit it. You are she who holds the wise blood inside or is about to. And that means that you have all of that energy available to explode your life the way you've always wanted to. Keep your promises to yourself. I'd say that number one, wake up and fulfill a promise. I just signed up for guitar lessons. I wanted to take when I was 7, but I'm 57, but I'm doing it now. So that's fine.
Ashe, Ashe. Ladies,
Okay.
thank you so much for agreeing to be panelists and to help me with conducting this webinar. We're over 3 minutes, so I would like to ask if anyone has any questions for myself or the panelists before we conclude today's meeting.
Do you guys have the next venture on the calendar? Because I'm ready.
Well, you know what?
This was soul food. This was soul food, baby.
I am so glad that you enjoyed this call and that you're looking forward to the next one. We don't have a date yet, nor do we have a topic, but if everyone is in agreement, we will look to do something again, maybe in the next 30 days or so. But what would you like to discuss? I have a hand here. Sharice, what are your thoughts? Is there something you'd like to share? Is it a question?
Well, I'd like to thank everyone for all of their information. Let me turn my video on. This was awesome. I mean, it was awesome. And I learned a lot today. But my question is, so I am trying to, I don't know why my phone, my menopause acting up, y'all. You see my phone is I don't know why it's turned sideways. But anyways, I'm about to get some health insurance, and I just need to know what type of doctor I need to be looking for.
Let's see. Well, when you say doctor for, are you talking about GYN for your,
No, I guess maybe a doctor to talk to about my symptoms. And
I just wanted to say one thing. Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, so Dr. Dancing Lion is a neuropathic doctor, correct, Dr. Dancing Lion?
That's correct. I'm naturopathic. Yeah. So I work with nutrition, herbs, body work, cupping, all those types of things, wellness as well as, those types of things. But if I'm understanding you, Sister Sharice here, like if I have to go to a doctor because I don't feel well, all right, because again, menopause is not a sickness. So hot flashes are not an illness, nor are the night sweats. That's not a sickness. That's supposed to happen. Your body is throwing off waste. It's like if you don't flush the toilet by accident, you come back home and it's just not that good. So how long can you go? Some people have gone their entire adult life without ever flushing their toilet. So now all the toilet flushing is happening at once. That is not something I would go to a MD and ask for help to stop. That needs to happen unless you want to walk around with all that waste in your body. And that's the no-go. That's where they're telling you, ooh, you have to take this and that, because now it's waste and you've gone septic. You're diseased from the inside out. The sister in here are talking about activity, moving your body, doing your yoga, getting your yoni steam, releasing, saying what you need to say, getting some mental health therapy if you've never spoken your truth. If you've been traumatized sexually, that's going to come up right about now. And you need to talk about it. You need to speak your truth. That's why I said journal, put your feet on the earth. We have something called a screaming hole. We dig a hole in the back 40 and holler into it until we cry and sling snot, because it's better in the earth than as cancer later on in our bodies. You see, it's all going to come due, sisters. So I wouldn't ask for a doctor to squash any of those symptoms. I would learn to ride the waves. You feel me?
Gotcha. Okay. I
And
understand.
I do want to say that whatever modality, because we gave you several here, whatever
Right.
modality you want to use is gonna be, you're just like your symptoms are individual to yourself, your treatment is gonna be simple to yourself. And I'm not saying don't see a traditional medicine doctor, because let's be Dr. Danson, forgive me, but I'm working on myself. But I feel like, because I've been, raised and I've been a nurse for so long, I go to my doctor so they can tell me my hormone levels and stuff like that. But then I go to my herbalist so that she can treat me. Let's be very clear.
Right.
If you really want to treat this, drink your water, eat your whole foods, not processed food, eat your whole foods, learn how to cook healthy meals for yourself, hydrate, and do your own healing therapy. At the end of the day, that is going to take you so much further than anything that they can prescribe, any estrogen replacement, any hormone replacement. Now, if you want to go to them, get your hormone levels tested, yeah, by all means. But I don't personally, because they're going to treat you just like if you were pregnant. When you were pregnant, you were nauseous, they gave you Phenergan. When you were, when you had high blood pressure, they gave you this, they gave you that. They didn't say lay off the salt. They said, well, you're preeclamptic, let's give you this, let's give you that. I'm saying to you, detox your body completely and wholly. And then whether that's intermittent fasting, whether that's several days of fasting, whether that's juicing, whatever that looks like for you. And then end of the day, find some therapies that you can incorporate on a regular basis that help you ride, like Dr. Danson Line said, ride the wave, because that is how we get through it successfully without palpitations and all those kind of things. They give us these medications and they have such bad side effects. Mm-hmm. And I really believe that it's important for us, as Mika has gone through it for so long, and I think I have gone through it for so long, that, to be completely honest, we ended up here anyway.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, hold on. I guess really my question is not, okay, so I don't have a mom that I can go to with these questions. So like, if you're, I guess I'm thinking, so I don't need to go see like a special type of doctor as my primary care, because I am going through menopause, I guess is what I'm saying. But I can just go to a regular GYN, I guess.
You can see a GYN, but they're going to...
Like for labs and blood work, stuff like that. Yeah.
Hydration, diet, therapy, baby. It's going to be hydration, diet, and therapy is going to work wonders, but you have to find what is good for you therapy-wise. Because hydration and food is something you can do, but therapy is something, just like with anything else, your treatment plan is going to be what is therapeutic for you. For me, it's yoni steaming, definitely Reiki, and definitely energy work. For someone else, it might be journaling. For somebody else, it might be yoga. All those things are therapeutic, but those things that we're suggesting are releasing.
Gotcha.
You're releasing so that you can heal. And it's the releasing on the emotional side. For you, it's going to be releasing on the emotional side, but it's also going to be releasing on the physical side. And I would say detox. Detox is going to be your number one. Hydrate, detox, eat right. Those are going to be your number one thing. I say, since I started really going through it, I've lost probably about 30 pounds. And baby, let me tell you something. Hydration and eating completely changed my life.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. If you can
And
look down
Sharice,
at your plate and see a rainbow, you are eating properly. Again,
Gotcha.
if you look down at your plate, you should
Okay.
not see the color white. Nothing in nature that is good for you is white. Therefore, if you look down at your plate and you see all the colors, you're doing a great job. You don't even have to monitor that much because colored food is the low calorie food. So you can have as much colored food as you want. If it's white or brown, you can't have that much.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
and
And
Sharice,
sis, I just want to say, I don't want you to feel lost in the South. I don't ever want you to feel lost in the South. You know, you
Gotcha.
can look me up on Instagram. You can reach out to me on Instagram. My number's on Instagram. You can reach out to me. I don't want you to feel lost in the South, okay? Because
Okay,
I feel
I
like,
appreciate it.
yeah, I feel like you need a connection. So I definitely don't want you to be without that, okay?
Right. Right. Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you.
and Sharice, where you are, I was there in my early 20s when I was still, and for those who joined late, I was sharing that I was in the military and I began to have these symptoms and I didn't know what was going on. I was depressed. I was having, the hot flashes. My hair started thinning, the hirsutism, the facial hair, body acne. It was just a lot. And so the military doctors did not know what was going on with me. They were like, "There's nothing wrong. You just need to lose some weight. Just need to lose some weight." I kept gaining weight I couldn't get rid of even. But it wasn't until I got out the military and saw a private doctor, he diagnosed me with PCOS. And for those who don't know, PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And it's not just about having cysts on the ovaries, it's an endocrine disorder or a hormonal disorder. And I've actually been in perimenopause since I was 23 years old. And these symptoms I had to navigate on my own. No one I could talk to that could relate to what I was going through. And that led me to going to finding a natural path. It led me to going to yoga. It led me to trying on the scene because all the medications they were trying to give me were making me sick. They tried to put me on metformin and it made me sick. They gave me progesterone. I didn't like the way it made me feel. They gave me estrogen. And so I was out in search of finding the best remedy for me. That's how I end up selecting these ladies to be on the panel because what they offer is some of the things that I've done to help me along my journey. And I believe and know that it was time for me to share this and open it up to a community of melanated women so that we can begin to help each other on this healing journey and share and encourage each other. And just as one of the sisters asked, when is the next call? We can schedule one next month. And what I want to do is also send out a survey. So you can talk about, you can share what topics that you would like to suggest we talk about next month. But as Sister Angela said, you don't have to feel alone. You have met a tribe of women who are willing to share information. We ain't gatekeeping anything to help you along this journey in this phase of life. So is there any other questions? I know we've gone over. I appreciate your patience. Does anyone else have any questions they have of myself or the panelists before we conclude today's session?
Hello, this is Kimberly Pitts. I just wanted to ask, how do I follow or who should I follow so I can receive a notification the next time another one of these are planned out? Because my sissy hadn't actually sent me the link, but I don't know who to follow.
Awesome. If you put your name and email address in the chat, I'm going to be
Okay.
collecting that along with the other people that registered through JotForm. And we're going to be sending out information. It'll have details of myself and the panelists and how you can follow us and stay in touch for upcoming events that such as this that we have. Or you may want to participate and support one of the sisters in one of their upcoming events that may be related to something that you want to, further partake in. That information will be available via email in the next few days as I gather everyone's contact information.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. If there's nothing else, I send y'all love, light, and peace. You all have a restful evening. Thank you again for trusting me and joining this call and just being present to share. Number one, submitting your questions via the job form, taking the time to fill it out and share your questions, but also taking the time to listen to what our panelists had to share about their journey. And hopefully you found some inspiration to help you along this menopausal journey. So you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you all again.
Thank you. Thank you,
Good night,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody.